Watch this, it won't do wheel spin. Is that not wonderfully tuned? Welcome back, I'm Tedward, and welcome to my very Honda-filled garage. We've got the two flagship Honda and Acuras, the Honda Civic Type R, and I've been living with this MDX Type S for the last week. And I have a lot of thoughts on this car because we did drive it out in California when they first launched it, but I had a very different experience driving it out there on some canyon roads versus actually living with this car and experiencing what it's like day to day. It's expensive, but it's really, really good to drive. This is not the full review video. I'm actually just going to the gym right now, but I wanted to take you on a short drive, a short commute, just to show you what it's been like around town and give you a few of my thoughts. So sorry guys, you're getting a shorts drive today. It's funny though, I've had this parked for maybe a few days and it is just filthy with all the pollen coming off these trees. And I have had and you can tell I've been living in it. It's actually filthy. That's even with toe taps, man. Oh, I can't keep this thing clean. Lots of great sounds. This car, let's just get it out of the way. All said and done, you're looking at somewhere in the neighborhood of $78,000, maybe $77,900, something like that, after this $600 paint color and a $1,400, I believe, destination charge. So it is not cheap. But are you getting good stuff for your money? And that's the other thing about this car, is that when you start putting it up against its German competitors, because remember, Acura and Lexus were essentially designed to compete against BMW, Mercedes, Audi, those big, expensive German brands. Now they're kind of on par with their prices, but the thing that Honda does, ooh, there's like a little snag up here. Look at that, ew, gross. Probably a dog here. I don't have a dog. Whose dog? We'll talk about that in a second. The thing about Honda and Acura pricing though is they don't play games when it comes to starting prices. So what you'll see in the German market a lot is you'll see a car that's like the X5 starts at $68,000. So then you'll look at this Type S and think, well, it has less power and it starts at like $74,000. That's much more, except that Honda's trim levels like come with all the things. So you're not checking any boxes, where if you get into that X5, that base X5, and start making it into this car, boy, does that add up fast. So I would always highly recommend, like, when you think about pricing on cars, really take the whole picture into account, because sometimes it gets a little muddled, and sometimes it's like that trick that's been played for many, many years where something's $399. So you're like, oh, it's $3. No, it's $4. So you know, it's just a little thing like that. It's kind of cold today, despite being basically summer, but we've got 3-stage heated seats. We've even got 3-stage massage seats. See, that's the thing. I'm not joking when I say this thing has some serious luxury, but what I like about this car is that it is powered by the turbocharged 3-liter V6. What I don't like about this car is the fuel economy and this shifter. This shifter's got to go. You adapt to it, but I will say, sometimes I'm just doing this reverse out of the driveway. Man, I always forget this parking brake. I'll be doing the reverse out of the driveway, and then, you know, you stop, you go to throw it in drive, but like, I have to look. I always have to look, and that drives me just a tiny bit bonkers. It's a little thing, and you'll adapt to it, but I'm a car reviewer, man. I have to talk about it. This reverse camera, A+. The top-down view, it actually shows a lot of space. So I really do like this. It's been very helpful to navigate this, because from the outside, this doesn't look particularly big, but it actually, I mean, it's a pretty large thing. It's got 3 rows, and I've got them all folded down right now because I've been transporting my bicycle in this car and going for some bike rides. But today we're going to the gym. For some reason, I remember this car being slower. And I do think it has pretty good power. It feels fantastic. This is about the level of power you want. It's not explosive, and it's not going to completely shock and awe you, especially if the vehicle's all loaded up. But it is absolutely plenty. Oh, I just went the wrong way. I've never done that. I just went the wrong way. It's because I stopped in a weird place and my brain was not really centered on where I was going. That's nuts. I do this drive like every day. But I think the problem with this car is that by the numbers, like every Honda, by the numbers, it never supersedes competition. You almost never get into these cars and look at their specs and think like, oh, it beat out the BMW or the Mercedes or whatever. It usually falls behind just a little bit on those fronts. So while you can get into an X5 with, I think, 375 horsepower, that starts at 68 grand, you are going to be nickeled and dimed with lots of options to get it to the luxury standards of this car. But the character of this engine is so choice. I love the torque. It's really easy to just get into this pedal and find its way. It's got this 10-speed, which it's not the greatest sport transmission in the world, but it absolutely does its job in finding your gears and shifting relatively quickly. But I never, ever, ever really find myself using the paddle shifters just because it does a good enough job of finding where it needs to be. And honestly, like if you put it in sport mode or sport plus mode, it's gonna hold your gear. So I find myself, frankly, driving it in normal and comfort mode most of the time because I like this suspension to be soft. It would be super cool if you could stay in your lane while you're in a lane. I don't know why people don't seem to have any respect for driving on the road at all. It's actually nuts. Look at this little puppy. Oh my God, are you kidding me, dude? That is the cutest thing in the world. Hey, bud. Everyone's very mad today. No one pays attention. Everyone sits at green lights on their cell phones instead of actually going. This all-wheel drive system is pretty nice. It's the super handling, the SH all-wheel drive system. So it's rear biased. It can send up to 70% of its power to the rear axle. And then it can torque vector up to 100% of that 70% to either the right or the left. And I did that backwards with my hands. It's always going to try to grapple hook you out around the corner. It does a very good job of this. And it's noticeable because it's not noticeable. Like, I never experienced wheel spin in this car. The other day I was driving an Infiniti QX65, their new like luxury sportback SUV. That has an all-wheel drive system. It's definitely front biased. And it was so easy to spin the inside front tire. That's a very expensive vehicle to be getting like kind of cheapo econo car wheel spin. And this just puts it down. And that makes the car feel more solid. It's just a wonderful thing to be able to get in this and absolutely have the confidence that you're going to be able to put that power down. Also, going over speed bumps in this thing is so, like, it's little luxuries, man. I love the suspension. This is why I think the Type S, whether you need the power or not, you probably are going to want this suspension just because that seems worth it to me. And this fella, did he just park as close to that as possible? I suppose so. But he seems to care about his Charger quite a bit. We'll back in over here. Get nice and close to this curb, and we've got cameras to help us do this without damaging our beautiful new wheels. All right, I'm going to go into the gym, do a little workout, try not to be lazy on a Sunday when I don't have anything to do. Look, the car is now lowering. It moves pretty fast. Put in this parking brake, which I almost always forget to remove. And then when I go to drive away, I do that and I realize the parking brake is on. So we're going to unload all of this. There we go. Neutral. I'm a crazy person. I don't like to have anything resting on the parking pawl. I want it to be, and I just do everything the wrong direction every time. That's on me. That's not the car. But real quick, before we go in, I want to talk fuel economy. This vehicle, what have we done so far? No, I don't want vehicle settings. I want trip computer. 11.1 miles per gallon. Now, granted, we have only gone a couple miles, and I kind of nailed it out of the hole just for fun to show you this engine. It'll get about 20, 21 miles per gallon. I've, over the last 312 miles of driving this car, have done 20.9 miles per gallon. This has an 18.5 gallon tank. You do the math, but the real world range of this car is somewhere around 320 to 350 miles. And that's if you're being really nice to it. I think 385 is like technically like the you know, if you really emptied it on the highway and had to call for a gas can, it's probably where you'd be. But I've noticed if I fill this tank, I'm probably only seeing about 300 miles on the range here. Last night, I actually left my friend's house kind of late, and all the gas stations were closed. So I had to go hunt for a 24-hour gas station, and there wasn't one in the rural area that I was in until I was down to about 16 miles of range. I was getting a little nervous that I was going to have to sleep at a Shell station, which there's worse cars to sleep in, frankly, but that would have been a weird story to tell, and I didn't want to tell that story. I just wanted gas. And in a world where we look at like EVs thinking, oh my God, the range anxiety, I'm like, I can't believe I have range anxiety in this MDX Type S. I wish that Honda especially would put bigger tanks in their cars. The reason for this, though, is that the packaging of their cars is typically designed for the range on their most economical models. So if you have the non-turbo Pilot, maybe it's a lighter vehicle, it probably gets closer to 400 miles of range. They use the same tank on this. So same goes for the Civic Type R. I've got a Civic Type R that has like a 11 or 12, or it's like a 12 gallon tank. Maybe it's 12.4. Either way, that tank is designed for the range on essentially the hybrid version that gets like 50 miles per gallon. So that has a wonderful range. Meanwhile, my little Type R with its maybe 28 to 29 miles per gallon on that tank, it does not go nearly as far, and I find myself at the gas station all the time. So you will be filling this thing up a lot if you do drive it a lot. That's for sure, especially if you drive around town, because idling here, we have now gone to 10.4 miles per gallon. You can eke out 20, but it's not as much as you'd hope for. I know we shouldn't be complaining when you're spending this kind of money, like, oh, if you can afford that, you can afford the gas. Well, gas is like $5.50 a gallon. I paid $5.79 a gallon for premium last night in a pinch, and that wasn't pretty. It's just the way she goes now. But the fact that I'm only getting slightly better fuel economy than my GX460 with a V8 and a body-on-frame truck, that's like just a tiny bit of a bummer. I wish this did like 24 to 26, and I'm sure there's manageable ways to get better fuel economy on the highway if you're like hypermiling it, but the reality is 20, 21, that's kind of where you're at. All right, let's get in the gym, and then we'll come back out and drive it home. It does feel good to get a minor win on a lazy Sunday, even if it's just a short gym session. But I like getting back into this MDX. It feels like a sanctuary. And what's also really important about the MDX Type S is it doesn't feel like a gussied up Honda. Unlike the Integra and the ADX, those cars, I love those cars, but they do feel pretty obviously like premium Civics and HRVs. And it's not that imaginative to realize you could have spent slightly less money on almost the same car with slightly lesser luxury features. Whereas this MDX Type S does not feel like a Pilot. It really does feel unique. It feels upscale, and it doesn't feel like a simple platform sharing vehicle that you could have gotten for cheaper if you were just humble enough to own the Honda logo instead of the Acura logo. Also, this engine is bespoke, I suppose, to the MDX Type S, because the TLX is gone. That was the only other vehicle that shared this engine, and that makes it special, because when you do get into the ADX or the Integra, you are fully aware that that is the same powertrain that you would have been driving in the Honda HR-V or the Civic. So I think that goes a long way in differentiating this car and justifying its price. See what I mean? It's not the snappiest transmission, but it is luxurious. I'm also in comfort mode, so it's going to dial back a little bit. Are you going to yield? You're not, but you were far enough along. We'll forgive it. I wasn't going to send it through there like I do in the Type R. I also really enjoy the steering and the throttle tuning in this car. And the brakes are actually a little touchy. The brakes were the only thing that took me a bit of time to kind of get used to, because if you want, you can throw your passengers through this windshield. If they are not belted in, a little dab will do you, that's for sure. The steering first. It's light. It's heavily assisted, but it's not vague. I'm still pretty aware, and also I really dig the steering rack ratio. I think it's all very intuitive. The throttle tuning, you almost don't notice it just because it's very manageable. It's natural. And it's something that I feel like most people won't even notice if they were driving this car for the first time. They'll just get in and drive it and say, oh, it's a good car. Whereas if you talk to your car reviewer friends, we are constantly driving different iterations, nice TL, different iterations of vehicles that automakers are trying to make interesting or trying to make sporty, and then they start screwing around with stuff. And I'll just call it out. The Infiniti QX60 and QX65, I think, have abysmal throttle tuning, and it's very, very frustrating. I think the cars are fine, but I just think that when you tune an interface that is literally the connection between you and going and moving, and it starts to feel too sensitive, it can really hamper the experience. Whereas this car, they seem to like give you a little bit of travel, so that way you can actually rest your foot on the throttle and not have to articulate such minute movements to not send the car through the car in front of you when you're parallel parking. Sometimes I like that sound, and if I'm in an irritable mood, if I'm hungry or late, oh, I hate that sound. Oh, I gotta show you this. All right. Nothing screams I'm doing illegal stuff like a sports car with the 360 camera mount on the back. Now, I love a C4 Corvette. That's very cool to me. But if you're driving around with that, it says I do crimes. I'm going to do crimes. I've done crimes, and the crimes are recorded. And if you'd like to pull me over and try to get this memory card, there will be 256 gigabytes of crime. Easy, partner. All right, I have a gripe about luxury cars. Luxury cars love to use rain-sensing windshield wipers. I don't want them. I want to tell it, look, I'm in intermittent mode right now. And I'm like, hey, I want the minimum. I want the minimum. But then it'll like start sensing rain and start going super duper fast, even though I've told it I want the minimum. Oh my God. Just let me control things. See, stop, slow down. I don't want you to do that. Relax. I put it down to minimum and it's still going like this. I have to turn them off, and then I end up having to operate them individually. All right, watch this. It won't do wheel spin. Is that not wonderfully tuned? This all-wheel drive system in the wet under a whole bunch of throttle. is letting me get out of the hole like that with steering lock There's no slide, there's no intermittence, it's not cutting my power, it's letting it flow even though I'm asking for more than I should, and it's just getting me going. That's great. That is excellent tuning, and that kind of solid feel is what allows you to feel like you're in an actually well-tuned luxury car that feels solid and not like you're in a car that's just gonna slip and slide all over the place. You know, if this car is going to slide, it's because I'm going to do some heavy trail braking and chuck it into a corner and lift off and hope to get that rear end out. I'm not gonna do that. We've tried that. Actually, this car is like almost too planted. It's a little too nose focused. This is not a tail happy vehicle. I wish it was a little more tail happy, honestly. To get into Sport Plus, you have to like turn and hold. Here's our horsies. Let's see, we'll get a little horsepower. There's nobody here. And look at that. It gives us a new thing, a new, oh God, why can't I talk? It gives us a new piece of information. It tells us the peak boost pressure, and it was 16 PSI. And like, that's kind of neat. And a G meter. Hilarious to have a G meter in like your family car, but why not? Oh yeah, like sometimes those downshifts I don't love, but that's only in like sport mode when it's really trying to hold your gear and do some funky stuff. What I think is this car is really honest. The MDX Type S feels like the kind of vehicle where like you understand that most of the time you're just commuting, you're just driving, you're just enjoying the luxury and the ability to throw this thing into a soft setting, be insulated from the world, relatively low road noise, incredible Bang & Olufsen system. I can't speak right now. I'm sorry, guys. But when you do want to turn it up a little bit and enjoy the on-ramp or listen to an actual V6 and not some piped-in speakers trying to convince you that your 4-cylinder turbo is actually a V8, it sounds fantastic. And if you're a Honda fanboy, this really will satisfy you. Would it be cooler with an extra 100 horsepower? 100%. I think this platform especially, could comfortably handle another 100 horsepower. Then it would kind of compete with the likes of those BMW M cars or some sort of AMG Mercedes. Like, then you would have that kind of competition. But I also think that's not the point of this vehicle, and they know it. And whether or not that's good for sales, they seemingly don't care if the customers overlook it because of that. Because they know that the customers who won't overlook it are getting exactly what they wanted. Start, stop, and turbo engines make me sad. Go into comfort mode. We'll go over the train tracks. So good. Usually I slow down to 25 over that in most cars. This car, it's not egregious to be doing 30. You could do 40 over that very comfortably and not feel like you've done something. Come on, rain sensing wiper. Like, this is infuriating because I just want it to do what I want it to do, and it won't do the thing I'm asking it to do when I want it to do it, and then it'll do it, but then it'll do it too much or too little. Just let me control it. I'm sure there's maybe like a thing in the menu in Honda Pro Jason's like, if you hate your rain sensing wipers, go here. He probably has done that. We're going to leave room because this person pulled way up, and if there is a tractor trailer coming around this corner, well, they are not making that corner, and then he's going to back into me. It's the whole thing, guys. It's just nobody knows how to use intersections. It's a bummer. Very noisy rear wiper. Listen to that. Hear that? Oh, that just sounds like the saddest wiper motor ever. Oh my God. Don't start, stop now. Oh my goodness. Because it still does take a second to start this thing back up. I mean, it's like a traditional starter motor in this car. This is not some mild hybrid system with an integrated motor in the, like where the flywheel is in the transmission. No, it is a normal starter. So it does take a beat to get this thing running again. And I hate when the car turns itself off, when you're like waiting at an unprotected left and you're like, all right, time to go. And you go to get into it and you still have to wait an extra beat for the car to start, and you didn't compensate for it originally. And now, oh boy, you might be in some serious trouble. See, I wanted to end the video here, but it might be really crowded. This is fine. And it's a soccer field, and we are in a soccer mom vehicle. Actually, somebody described this car as a soccer mom car for dads. That's perfect. That is exactly what the Acura MDX Type S is. And you know what we'll do? We'll park so we can finish this staring at the Excursion. Oh no, I can't see the lines because all right, I guess we got to use mirrors. We got to be resourceful and do it the old-fashioned way without our cameras. That's the loudest rear wiper. I thought I turned you off. Okay, now you're off. There we go. Oh wait, I can wash the cameras, can't I? Wait, how do I do this? Oh, there it is. All right. Problem solved. Always learning. That's why we got to spend time with these cars. Anyway, that's just a quick little commute back and forth Sunday to the gym. I hope you enjoyed it. I really, really like spending time in this car. There are things that bother me, but that's my job, is to point out the things that I'm like, oh, that should be better, or I would prefer that. Nothing in this vehicle to me is a deal breaker. There is not a single thing in here that I say, oh, I wouldn't buy it because. I really like driving this. I really like being in this, and I'm like gonna be like, it's not common for me to be bummed out when a car goes away, and I'm gonna lose this on Wednesday. It's Sunday right now, and I'm looking forward to spending another 200 or 300 miles in it because I really genuinely enjoy it. So anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, liking, commenting, and subscribing. Enjoy a safe, happy Memorial Day. Thank you to those who've served, and that'll do it for now. We'll do a full review on this, but yeah, don't forget to respect the drive, and I'll see you in the next one.